Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Radio Time Productions with Valerie Jarrett Bass. Sit back and relax as Valerie talks to some of the greatest minds of our time. Enjoy the conversation and remember to visit www.radiotimeproductions.com for more inspiration. Now let's get on with the show.
Well, welcome to Radio Time Productions. This is Valerie Jarrett Bass, founder and host here at our station, Radio Time Productions, and also part of the integrative health and wellness movement. Now, today we have a very special guest, my friend and colleague and brilliant woman, and she's known as the Empowered Nurse. Brenda knows what it's like to see humanity in all stages of illness and disease and strives, to bring more health and wellness to humanity. We were talking before the show, and she's so knowledgeable about so many things, and she's very experienced at her work and dedicated. She's a Reiki master teacher, and we were discussing what that's about, and that's a whole show in itself. And, she has learned firsthand about the touch and the flow of energy and how she can use it to heal, for healing purposes, and it's connected with the Schumann frequency, which is what the earth vibrates at. We've gotten away from that. I remember way back to when they would say walk around barefoot because you have to get in touch with Mother Earth, and hug a tree and so on. Well, there's a lot of truth to that. Now, much of the world today is we're out of balance, and it's more than obvious if you look around. And the great advances in technology. I'm a part of technology and the medical advances there, and I love it. And there are some really great technologies out there. And, we're in a sick world now, and the rates of cancer, I didn't realize this until Brenda had made me aware of it, that 1 out of every 2 people are now, cancer prone, and that's really outrageous. We're living in a stressed out world, and that was my whole theme when I was a biofeedback and stress management therapist, but boy, they need me now. As Brenda puts it, and I love it, it's called it's fried and microwave world is what we're in. I hate those microwave things too. We have over 70 trillion cells in our body, and these are the 70 trillion. We have to take care of ourselves, and it's going to make us healthier as not only individuals but as a society and world at large. And there's chronic fatigue and all these things that are going on that's affecting our DNA. Now I wanted to ask Brenda what she meant by environmental DNA, but we're going to talk about that because all health is cell health. And I believe that, and I believe that, we have an answer to the EMF problem, which is a PEMF solution, which is well put there. Brenda believes, as I do, that these should be in every home and office or wherever they can be used, because we need to get healthy. And this is one of the underlying, it's like a magic bullet, and we're going to know a lot more about it. And I want to welcome my brilliant empowered nurse on. Brenda, are you there?
I am, Valerie. Hi, everyone. I'm so thrilled to be with you today, Valerie. Thanks for making the time available.
Thank you. We're so pleased to have you. I'm so happy you're here. Let's get to going with all this information. An hour is going to fly by. So what do you think
Yes.
here? You start out and tell us about, more about the PEMF therapy, basically, and the technology that can be helpful. You want to go ahead?
I will, and I'm rolling up my sleeves right now because this is a topic that's really hot and passionate for me, is what is going on in our world today. Now, several years back, I was working with another fellow nurse who was very integrative in her approach to health and wellness after going through her own health challenges, where she was diagnosed with MS and was told, get your affairs in order, and basically starting to write her life off. And she got mad, and she started to look at the colon detox, and she became a colon practitioner, cleaner, upper of all those things, because a lot of our health and well-being is gut related. So she also got into thermography, breast thermography, using the gold standard. Not all thermography practitioners and clinical practitioners are following the gold standard. So if you look at that, what it is far infrared cameras looking at the inner tissues of our body, looking for transitions and changes in tissue over time using a standardized approach. And so I got working with her, and we were doing something called the Breast Show in Town. And these events were moving throughout Ontario, Canada, and really raising awareness. Now, one of the things is because she really, really believed that at that point the breast cancer societies were not even saying that breast cancer is preventable. And that was their whole thing, because, creating fear and all this stuff gets more dollars and investment dollars into research. And what is research? So at one of these events, I started to hear an Ali Oakes, who is the president of Swiss Bionic Solutions Canada, and she believes in PEMF therapy after sharing her own story of breakdown and disease and dysfunction and dis-ease that was happening in her body, and she simply couldn't do life anymore. And she was a farmer. She was raising emus and horses, and basically needed all kinds of surgery, joint replacements and hysterectomy, and she couldn't do life, so she was getting depressed, and she was putting on weight. And does this sound familiar to anybody out there? I think a lot of people are experiencing these things and don't realize that they have control over it. It's not something that, even though it takes hold of us, doesn't mean that we have to let it control us.
Right.
So, so listening to Ali speak and her talk about cell health.
Could you just let the audience know basically what the Schumann resonance is and why that is? Well, maybe I'm jumping ahead. Go ahead, finish your story. I'm sorry, it's all yours.
Okay. Yes, I will reveal all.
It's exciting stuff. It's so exciting. Go ahead.
I know. There's a lot of questions that pop up. So just, everybody write your questions down, and I'll let you know how to get a hold of me. And, I'm sure there are going to be some spaces that I need to fill in a little bit more, Valerie. So I'll let you.
Terrific. You go, girl.
Yeah. Okay. So when I was listening to Ali Oakes, and here I am, I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse here in Ontario, Canada. I've been practicing and licensed for over 36 years now. And it was about 5 years ago that I actually heard this phrase that changed everything in my purview and look at life. Now, I already was a Reiki master, so I knew about energy and biofields, and I could see the cause and effect by my touch when people agreed to have sessions or, wherever I was. I've seen amazing things happen because of Reiki. But it was the first time I actually heard somebody talking from a science base that all health is cell health.
Bingo.
Now, when you think about that, amen is right. Because our medical systems, whether it be U.S. or Canadian, we dice and dissect. We have specialists for this and that and everything else, and nobody talks to each other, and nobody connects the dots and looks beyond their own purview of specialty. So what happens is then you get polypharmacy happening, you get miscommunication, you get misdiagnoses, and all this management of stuff that goes on and on and on, rather than looking at health from the cell level.
Right.
And this is what frustrates me to know, and because I'm still practicing, I'm still dealing with administering medications, and I see interactions, and I see the overusage of Tylenol and liver and skin breakdown in seniors, and actually all the linkages, like there is now some kind of thought that some medications are actually causing Alzheimer's and Parkinson's.
Oh, yeah. The Alzheimer's medicine itself makes it worse. I've seen some studies on it. You should never take their medication because it's almost like they're trying to kill us off.
Well, it's not that our doctors intend to do this.
No, they
but
don't.
I think
No,
they've
not
been
them.
taught and trained. They've been taught and trained and brainwashed into certain
That's
things
right.
and practices.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a secret that the pharmaceutical companies actually fund the medical training that a lot of doctors get. And so
this has
they
got to
learn
stop,
to.
though, because, when we're in also alternative medicine is very frowned upon. You're going to be put in jail as a doctor if you dare do that. A friend of mine who was a very brilliant doctor, actually, they ripped his license away. His whole family were medical doctors. And because he dared to, at that time, I think, recommend hyperbaric oxygen for cancer, and which was shown to be cure, and on it goes. It's really incredible. We can't let these pharmaceutical companies ruin every good thing good. Right.
Well,
that's my rant.
And the thing is, though, too, if I am in a car accident, I end up in Emerge, please don't put herbs on me.
Right.
Our medical system is brilliant at emergency medical care.
Absolutely.
And what I also want to put in here, too, because I am a medical practitioner, professional, is nothing that I am saying today is to be misconstrued as medical diagnosis or treatment. That anything that is said here, if you wish to explore further, you can do your due diligence, but please include your medical team and professionals, because I certainly still, like I say, have a license. I am talking about some deep-hearted issues that come from my years of experience and what I've seen. I worked actually with a group called People's Right to Integrative Medicine here in Ontario, and there are a lot of situations where we go to our medical professional. They are able to bill for 7 minutes or less. You present one issue, and you expect them to make a diagnosis or treatment. Or let's look at the medication usage of antibiotics and the increase in VRE and MRSA.
That's right. It's already done deal. They've ruined it.
Yeah.
They've ruined our immune system. They don't work anymore. The antibiotics.
Well, and I heard something. Yeah, exactly. And I heard something. It was interesting, and I didn't know this either, that our antibiotics are only various, they're obviously working against various strains of bacteria, but they're only good against 23 different strains of bacteria.
I was amazed to see that. Yeah, I heard about that. And you know what? Oregano oil perhaps is much more powerful than any of them.
Exactly. And the other thing is, though, too, most people will go in with a virus and expect treatment. So they get an antibiotic for a virus, which it will never, ever be effective for. So there is this placebo effect as well.
Well, that's
because
true.
People say, there's that. Another really important product out there that is really effective that a lot of people don't understand or know about is structured silver. Now, colloidal silver has been around.
Colloidal silver I used for years. So is it related to that? Okay.
It is better, a million times better than colloidal silver, because in colloidal silver it is actually acidic-based. Alkaline.
Really?
Yeah. And structured silver is perfectly is alkaline in nature, and there is a perfectly mathematically, scientifically dosed amount of silver with every molecule of water.
It's very small
and what
dosages,
this does,
right?
Yeah. So what happens with that is you take a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of this, and it goes to work in the body against viruses, all strains of non-beneficial bacteria, which excludes gut bacteria, which we need, which antibiotics kill.
Right.
And
exactly.
In 4 minutes or less, it has circulated through your entire body, and when it's eliminated from your body through pee, it is still intact.
Yeah. That's why I know. I've used it for years off and on. I don't know why I got away from it, because now that you're bringing it back to my mind, it was the original at the turn of the century. They used it on babies in their eyes, to prevent, it's one of the oldest ones out there, and it works. But what you're telling me now is just, that's right.
Silver nitrate, they're putting those drops in eyes of babies still because it and yes, and have you ever heard, Valerie, the term "she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth."
Yes, that's exactly what's on my mind. That's funny.
Yeah.
There was a reason for that.
Exactly. Because the rich didn't die of typhoid and all these, and had a lessened chance of dying than people who did not have silverware that they were using every day.
Right.
So if you find a silver spoon, start using it, everyone.
Absolutely, I know. And you know what? Silver's going to go up in price anyway very soon. So buy it now. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's good. You know, that silver spoon in the mouth always comes to my mind about when I use that silver colonial. And it's so simple if people would only listen, you know. I hope so.
Exactly.
I hope this gets out to the people that want to move forward with health, because these things are not, it's like not new. It's been around and tested for a long, long time. And basically, it's, if you want to get healed, it doesn't cost that much money, and it doesn't take that much effort.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, and it is a whole body. Our mass consciousness is the standard American diet: a lot of carbs, a lot of starches.
Yeah,
a lot of sugar.
What's terrible. Americans eat horribly. We have the worst diets.
Yeah. So, you know, if you want to change your health, it starts at the cell level. So going back to our cell story, you know, we are exposed to, you know, bad water, bad viruses, bad food, bad air, you know, and what that does is all those environmental things, including Wi-Fi, and the frequencies of our wireless world and our microwave world affect the mitochondria of our cells. It affects what's known as the environmental DNA structure of our cells.
What do you mean by that? No, when you say environmental versus just DNA, what is the difference?
Okay, so so we know in conception, you know, the DNA comes from is developed when the ovum and the sperm come together and share their DNA, and it creates the DNA of the ovum and the subsequent development of life. And we think that is set in stone. And it is, because it gives us the structure of our body and our tissues and replicates us. Because if we didn't have that, we would be like a Lego set where a brick would come off here and there, and it wouldn't be the same from generation to generation. But we have that DNA, but there is something called environmental DNA, which is affected by the mitochondria of every cell.
Right.
And it is the protection around the cell. And it's like the first layer that everything that comes through our body hits in the cell. So when you imagine, and it's hard to imagine this, you know, it's hard to imagine a million, but there are over 70 trillion cells in our body, in our walking meat suit, give or take a billion or so, depending on your size and your age and all this other stuff.
Incredible.
But basically 70 trillion is that magic number that most of us have. And there is a life to each cell. And there's stuff called glutathione, and we can get into ATP and apoptosis and all these other terms. But basically, think of these little tiny cells, 70 trillion of them. And the outer layer gets zapped with everything that we are exposed to day in and day out, whether it be the chlorine in the water that we're bathing in. You know? Yeah.
Yes, I know.
What are we doing to these things, right?
I know.
And a lot of things are really impossible to change. Like, unless you live in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber 24/7, you are exposed to the pollutants of the cars going by, and you know, whether it be the increased chlorophyll from eating good foods and rich with chlorophyll and nutrients from our phytos, and or the starches from the man-made junk that we're consuming.
Oh, there's so much junk out there. You know, also,
or
I was
even
just thinking,
we're putting on.
There's so much pollution in the food that we're eating. I mean, when I start reading labels, it's wheat and sugar is basically the foundation of everything out there. You know, it's hard to get. I can spend 2 hours in the store reading labels because I don't believe anybody anymore, and you know, and all the stuff that's going on, you can't get out. It's hard to buy healthy food.
I know.
It's got to be organic. It's got to be organic. It's got to be organic.
Yeah, and even those poor organic farmers, because I'm a farmer at heart, have a hard time because they can be organically farming on their land, but next door might be GMO-laden stuff with glyphosate, and those bees go between both, and
Good point.
Yeah, it's really hard, and then Big Pharma is very involved in our agricultural business, and so that glyphosate is now known. There's a lot of cases out there to be causing cancer, especially to those that have been spraying the Vorlex and spraying the Roundup, and even those that are consuming it. What is this doing to us? So yet that is where the lobbying dollars are for the wheat boards and the wheat, all the grain lobbyists. Yeah. And they want to make money. They have to make money because look at what happened way back in the 70s.
This is when they say, the Bible says money is the root of all evil. It doesn't say money is evil. It's how it's used. The wisest man in the world was the richest, Solomon. It's not but these people are greedy and they'll kill people off just to make a buck. I mean, really.
Well, that goes back to our other discussions about antibiotics and medications and everything else. There's
a corrupt system. Yeah.
Well, here in Canada, there's a law that was created called Vanessa's Law, and the gentleman who brought it forward, Terrence Young, was the member of Parliament for his riding, and he was in government when his daughter was 14 years of age, and she was bulimic, but they didn't know it, and so they took her to a doctor, and basically the doctor prescribed something which he called medical-grade Rolaids. Propulsid. And Propulsid was not even regulated by Health Canada. It was snuck in by pharmaceutical companies and trialed.
Oh, God.
And this doctor did not do the preliminary blood work on this little girl who was not confessing she was bulimic, but they were concerned about her and her upset stomachs and things like that. The doctor did not do electrolytes. Did not know that her potassium levels were reduced, which happens when you do bulimia, and that's why there's a lot of cardiac issues and stuff. She came down the stairs after starting the medication a few days, came over to her dad, and dropped dead in front of her, right in front of him.
Yeah.
They rushed her to the hospital.
Poor darling.
She was 14. And he did not know anything about needing to do electrolytes. The doctors started to do some screening. What is she on? And they started to look it up, and then they realized that her electrolytes were way out and that she died of cardiac arrest.
Oh, my God. Oh, wow.
Terrence Young went on to do his research. He's written a book called Death by Prescription.
Right.
And he actually started a private member's bill in Parliament, which actually got royal assent, went through, and creates the world's toughest laws against the medical pharmaceutical machine. The problem is because a lot of pharmaceutical companies were dumping their rejected medications from other countries in Canada. And that is why Propulsid ended up there. They were trying to get it in here. Now the pharmaceutical companies and reps and anybody who's associated will face the world's toughest jail time and fines for pushing medications that are not licensed. And not only that, it's hard to get that through because, again, the federal minister of health for all of Canada has unilateral rights to inflict these laws on these companies. But a lot of these companies pay for the political machine, right? So this is how dangerous it can be. So don't, yes, trust your medical practitioner, but really ask the questions. What is this medication going to do? What can I expect? Will it interact with my other medications? Is there any screening blood work that needs to be done? How will this affect the outcome? And really ask those questions. Take charge of your health. Our medical system is there to help, but unless we help to make it better, it's going to get better. That's the truth.
Yes, Brenda. could you go ahead then and please explain what else, can we do regarding the cell and helping the cell get well?
Yes, helping the cells to get well is what we really need to focus on, because the thing is we give our power away to the medical system so much so that that they're Dr. God to us. And the fact is that unless we take charge of our health, nobody can really take care of us the way we can take care of ourselves. And taking care of those cells to get well is really key to longevity, better sleep, less headaches and transient aches and pains, sleep disturbances, sexual dysfunction, and all kinds of things that we start to think of as a natural aging process. But it's not. There's nothing natural to the bombardment our cells are getting at the mitochondrial level, with the environmental DNA. So what we need to do is look at the Schumann resonance. So the Schumann resonance is 7.83 hertz, touched on a little bit before. And what that is the natural resonance that has been determined over the course of various studies. One was done in Germany, one was done in America, way back in the 30s and the 50s. And basically it was found that the Earth has a resonance, and that resonance is in line with our heart's resonance and our resonance in our brain. It's also the resonance of our inner space. So what happened was when NASA first shot their first astronaut into space, and remember they did this, dog and the monkey and all that, and then the first man broke through atmosphere and was up only for an hour in the outer space of our stratospheres and our Earth resonance. And when he did that, he came back to Earth, and he was very sick, very fast. He had sleep disturbances, rapid aging syndrome. He developed severe osteoarthritis, and he basically fell apart. And, in fact, he didn't live long after.
Is that right? I didn't realize. I forgot that.
Yeah, I know. So, go ahead, do your research, and look up the first man in outer space, and you'll see that there was a whole host of things that are not, obviously it's a bit of a, embarrassment, because until you do something, that brave soul shot himself up into space not knowing what he was going to experience in space or out of space.
Very brave. Very brave.
Earth's magnetic field puts out this Schumann resonance, and when we live in a concrete jungle, we rubberized shoes, we live under cell towers and hydro lines and all this sort of thing. These have disrupted the Earth's natural resonance. And in fact, a lot of people, I was talking to somebody in New York City not too long ago, and he said, I just know I have to get out of the city. I says, do you know why? He says, I just feel like my skin is crawling. I got talking to him about it. He says, yeah, I live in an apartment building. I walk on concrete all day long. Rubberized shoes and cell towers.
I lived in the city for 30 years. I lived in New York City for 30 years.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, you never lose that New York minute. Everybody around, they're probably being fried.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is, though, too, so we have those natural man-made disruptors that have that we can't live without. We can't live without shoes and carpet and flooring and warm insulated houses and, and all this sort of thing. But what also is happening is that with cell phones, too, and I'm not picking on cell phones because they are a godsend in so many ways, but the wireless technology that has evolved over time has also played a major role in the disruption of our natural cell health. And why I say that is we are right now in the 4G realm, which means that about every 4 years or every 10 years, there's been a new evolution in wireless technology. So where we've gone from where we are, 7.83 hertz, now we're up into the megahertz with a cell phone. So if you're carrying a cell phone all along, and you tuck it in your bra or wear it in your pants, you are disrupting the natural cell health of your body, because that starts to cause a disharmony, a dysresonance in the cell frequency. And so where the cells need to communicate back and forth and assimilate nutrients and get rid of waste, what it does is it actually causes cell clumping. And so if you think about the amount of osteoarthritis, muscular sclerosis, transient aches and pains, those are all inflammatory processes in the body.
Right.
And if the cells cannot get into the microfilaments of the blood system, then they clump, and there's pain because it's not getting the oxygen, it's not getting the food, and we start to have, major health issues happen. And if you think about how many inflammatory processes are part of our illness system, then you start to see that there is some kind of correlation here if the blood can't get into the micro tissues. So what also happens is, so you got poor circulation, and you have increased pain. Okay, and so with this, now we are moving into the 5G realm of technology, which is going to take, which is going to take the frequencies of our wireless communication. It's like a spider web, very fine. Very fine, but very powerful, because a spider web can be easily broken by us walking through it, yet it's strong enough to catch flies that the spider kills and eats.
Incredibly strong. I saw that in action one day. I couldn't believe it. Like magic. This is fascinating. Go ahead.
Yeah, so when you think about the 4G towers that are big and gawky and all over the place and on top of towers and everywhere else, they're invading us with they're going to be upgraded, so there'll be 4G and 5G coming out of these towers. But the towers themselves, or the 5G, is so fine, even though it's in terahertz of energy frequency.
Yeah, of course.
It needs to have these backpack-type devices put on street level and many down each street in order to beam this 5G energy into the homes. So think of it like a laser beam coming into your home. You can't see it, you can't feel it, but what it is basically, and somebody had said this really well, that the 5G is going to be like turning on your microwave on high, opening the door, and having it blast 24/7. We are going to be cooked from the inside out if we don't start taking care of our cell health.
Right. It's almost like a complete emergency if this comes out. I mean, people are going to have to really start thinking about living, because if you're going to have all this bombardment, you're going to be sick all the time.
Yes, because where I talked about mitochondrial dysfunction and the environmental DNA, this terahertz of technology has the ability to rip apart the environmental DNA of our bodies, the mitochondria.
What's wrong with these
and
people putting this out?
This is not a joke.
Let me ask you this. If, in fact, be legislation that approves all of this and all, and I believe our president just did, even though I love him, this is one of the things he approved. Now, what about Trudeau? Is he approving this there? How are you fighting it? And the other question is this: what if other countries get it and other people have it? It holds us back from competing in a way that they can. I mean,
exactly. There's a lot of questions, right? But okay, so here's a quote, a direct quote. Trump says he can't get 5G or 6G out fast enough. So 6G is already in the works. Huawei in China is the king of 5G. They have this huge, go on and look up Huawei and 5G, and you're going to be amazed. Yeah. So they are the kings. They own the rights to the 5G. 6G is coming out in about 10 years, and we haven't even got 5G out. So the advancements are every 10 years. So we are on the cusp of 2020, which is going to be the launch of 5G. The other thing is, wherever people okay, I used to live in the countryside. It would take me on dial-up a good 24 hours to download a video, a half-hour video on YouTube.
Yeah.
People in the country, people in the
They're
countryside
lucky.
are not, they want what we have in the city. They want to have interconnection. They want to have this social ability to communicate real time, because there are a lot of companies and businesses that live in farms out in the country that need
but at what
that.
cost, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the cost is our health, our very health and well-being.
Yeah.
So if 5G is going to do that, 6G is already in the works. Everybody wants it. There are countries in Europe that are rebelling. Europe has had a class action lawsuit that has slowed down 5G. 200 stopped 5G, and I think it's in Coventry. So different cities are rebelling. I know in California there are some cities that have stood up and said 5G, no way. I know that it's necessary to have a grassroots movement to push against this, because otherwise we just roll over and we're dead.
I know.
So this is happening, but people need to be aware. The other thing is milk production will reduce with 5G, because even if there's electro cables from big towers in the ground of pastures, they've noticed that cows' health and well-being will suffer, that the production of milk will reduce. There's also been, we know about the honeybees. The honeybees are really struggling.
Oh, yes.
And,
that'll wipe out civilization if they die.
Yeah, exactly. So what we need to do is we really need to look at what we can do. There are shielding paints that you can paint in your home. There are ways of shielding, smart meters and all that sort of thing, so that it reduces the EMF frequency that's output from inside the house as well as outside the house. There are grounding devices that you can put in your home. But one of the biggest things I really want to push back against are all these echoes and dots and all these things, these two-way communications where you have this little thing sitting here. You say, okay, Siri, play my favorite music. Well, that sounds wonderful, but Siri is listening. So as Siri is listening to you, they're actually creating data and mining it back as well.
I use Siri, and I every time I do, I'm sorry, I do. And I'm not giving them my fingerprint or my face or any of that stuff. And I always have trouble with passwords because they're changed all the time because I'm not playing the game. But the Siri thing, sometimes for convenience, I use it. But, my husband just said, well, turn that off. He's right. You can't even have it on at all.
Just turn it off. Don't sleep with cell phones in your room, especially charging, especially on. Have everything that's technologically unnecessary, like keep a clock radio. I mean, you need that, but keep it away from the head of your bed. Keep your chargers and your cell phones right out of your room. If you have a TV in your room, take it out, because there's still wireless technology going from the remote control to the TV, plus the blue light is very disruptive to sleep patterns, as well as the production of melatonin.
Yeah, I know. I take melatonin, too. It helps. Melatonin's great. I've known about it for decades. It's really anti-aging supplement.
Yeah, it is. But, the natural melatonin that our bodies can produce is much better than what you can take from a supplement. But, I mean, we need to have it. But the other thing that you need to know is what we can do. So the EMF solution or problem is huge, but the PEMF solution is also something that we need to look at. It's pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, which means it has it's a mat system based on Tesla technology of copper coils that are programmed with the Earth's frequency. And what that means is when you lay on one of these mat systems, it causes your body cells, all 70 trillion of your cells, to calm down into healthy resonance and regeneration. So, and the effect is actually up to 6 hours. So if you lay on a mat for 6 minutes or 8 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the morning, you have the healthy effect of your cells in sync with each other up to 6 hours. So if you are having chronic pain, chronic circulation, transient aches and pains, migraine headaches, sleep disturbances, just a general sense of anxiety or depression, like you can't do life, like Allie Oakes couldn't do. One of these systems can actually calm your body down, and you will first of all start noticing that your sleep improves and pain improves. Now, people with type 2 diabetes, with neuropathies and things like that will notice a reduction in the neuropathic pain that they're experiencing. Your blood will start to flow easier. You will notice, actually, too, what it does is it actually helps with reducing aging because your cells are calmed down. The collagen is maintained longer. You have better recovery time after exercise and really boost your performance naturally before exercise. It has the ability to, incomplete fractures will heal much faster with PEMF therapy. So there is a mat system, and there is targeted applicators that uses a different waveform that helps to improve the regeneration of tissue post trauma or event or that sort of thing. So, yeah, and the system that I really, I've done my research. There's many out there, but there are a few key points you have to look at. Not all PEMF systems are the same. Some systems believe in high frequency energy flow, which is not really good. You want a low earth-based system that actually mimics the Earth's frequency. You want to have a system with an organ clock so that you're not supercharging your body when you're trying to wind down at night. You want to have one.
I missed that, Brenda. What was that? What kind of clock?
An organ clock. So the Omnium One by Swiss Bionics actually, if you lay on it in the morning, it will notice that that it's morning, that you want to supercharge your body, and then your tissues, you're revved up and ready to go. And if you want to regenerate tissues, there's a program in there just to, if you're not feeling your best, to do regeneration with your body systems. If you want to calm down and get ready for sleep, it will wind you down while still providing the healthy resonance for your system.
Did I also read something about you have a light and sound system connected with that, or a biofeedback device that does the in-train waves?
Yeah. So one of the added bonuses that you can get with the full system, and right now we have it where you can get the full Omnium One system for the price of the basic, and for American buyers, it's $1,000 of free upgrades to the system. Now, the Omnium One is the most affordable and portable system out there. It uses Android technology to store the program, but it's not hooked up to the internet. So it's very portable. You can take these systems on planes and boats and trains and hotels, and even driving in the car by using the more portable parts of it. But if you can lay down during the day on the full mat, then you get a total body experience. But the OmniBrain is the brainwave entrainment system that actually plugs in. So you can lay or use any of the applicators, and if you can put the goggles and the earbuds in your ear, you get light technology, sound wave, to improve neuroplasticity and reduce cognitive decline. Helps to reduce depression. You can actually program the light colors through the whole spectrum of color. So if you have a favorite color, you can improve the intensity or decrease it. It doesn't really matter, but the thing is that it is reducing neuroplasticity, which is key. So not only can you do your 70 trillion cells good in getting into healthy resonance, but you can do your brain extra good and maintain that flexibility that we need into living as vibrantly and as long as possible.
Yes, it's wonderful. It's what a device. I mean, it's really a technology of the future that's here today, and we just have to let people know the science behind it, but because it's legitimate. And also, I believe you had Dr. Oz has endorsed this, and you've had some other there's other arenas that recognize this technology. So it's not, and I've known about it for some time. You know, I remember years ago over at Stanford, there was a colleague of mine. I wasn't at Stanford, but I was working there with some people, and they had developed a Tesla watch. And this was, I'm talking way back in the 80s, so I can imagine how far it's come since its original. I mean, I know it's been studied for longer than that. But these technologies are really legitimized. They've been out there, they work, and so on. And this is really something that we need now for the cells.
Well, yes. Well, and going back to that first astronaut, I never really completed the story, but NASA realized that when they realized what had happened to that first poor guy, they had to do something, and that's why PEMF therapy was developed by NASA to help mankind get into space, and that is part of the space stations. And so whenever man goes into space, PEMF is right there with them. So if it can help man in space to overcome the the no gravitational pull and polarity that we have here on Earth, imagine what it can do to help us here on Earth, and especially at this day and time. Yes, you're right. It's actually back to the future.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what struck me about this whole thing. It's back to the future. And, you know, these are things that people, they don't understand because it's outside of the mainstream, what doctors, medical doctors are aware of. I mean, a lot of doctors are getting more hip to alternative medicine and energy medicine especially because it's very scientifically based and it's hard to ignore if you're getting results. You know, in the beginning, there's all kinds of people that were objecting to biofeedback with all light and sound technology. It's been around. It's got the history behind it, and either look at it and like it or don't.
Yeah, well,
we got to educate them. We got to educate them. Anyway, go ahead.
We do. Absolutely. And this is what this is all about. If anybody has any questions or would like to connect further and find out more about PEMF therapy, I do have a group online as well. It's facebook.com/groups/PEMF consultant. And you can go there. There's reams of information I've included on the show description, the Dr. Oz link, so people can find out, because Dr. Oz says this is the future of medicine, and when you look at the day and age with opioid crisis and our pharmaceutical system, causing so much havoc in the realm of trying to be helpful and in the means of being medicine, take this into your own hands and help do your body good. Anybody from babies right up to seniors can use this. Pets love it. Anything with a life force in it. People have even done experiments where they put two plants, so one plant on it every day and one plant off. And you can see the robustness of it.
I know about that. Years ago also we did an experiment with biofeedback where we actually where plants were actually responding to thought. Okay. Thought on them, and it was an EMG hookup. It was really a fascinating study where you in a closed room, blah blah blah. But that energy flow, even animals pick up on it, plants pick up on it.
Yeah. Do you know you can enrich the vibrancy of wine by putting a wine bottle on it?
That sounds good.
Yep. And people have done experiments where they actually test water. So they'll take a picture of water and it will alkalinize if you put it on the mat for at least 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's good. This whole thing with water and the memory of water, and you can bless water and it becomes more pure. All those experiments with that. I think it was a Japanese guy that did this. That one.
Dr. Emoto.
Yes, that's right. That was really fascinating stuff. Now, listen, I want you to give your Facebook group page again, your telephone number for people, that want to get in touch with you, and give a little more information about how you can be reached, because you're a wonderful, dedicated woman that does great work, and I think that this whole thing with this, this healing is people have to know more about it, and we need to use it as soon as possible. So give some more information about, your contact.
Okay, so people can visit my website. It is tinyurl.com/PEMF consultant, all one word, lowercase. And you can go to the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/PEMF consultant. My phone number is 519-842-2799, and it's up here in Canada, so put a 1 in front. Long-distance charges will apply if you don't have an international phone plan, but, by all means, try to get a hold of me. Yeah. It is.
Well, this is great, and you're doing so much, and we want to get this information out. Now, we'll do another show again. We're going to get this out and to the people, and they'll be able to see it on Facebook and everywhere, and I'll have it up on Radio Time Productions, and we're going to do more. This requires a lot of, this requires a series, so, we'll get back to it now that we've straightened out some of the glitches that were there that people don't even know because you're so clever in hiding them.
Yeah, wow.
Really great. Now, do you have any final thoughts here?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to say thank you to everyone for listening. Please get a hold of this information. You know who uses this is Tony Robbins. He uses the Omnium One. Yeah. He's a supercharged rock star when it comes to personal development. Well, anybody wonder why he is? It's because he charges his cells. He says he uses it at least twice every day, but when he's in his events, he uses it 3 or 4 times a day. So whenever he takes a break, he's on it.
Well, that's interesting. I walked over fire for that man twice in my life.
Wow, good for you. Hey, you're a rock star.
Fire walk. Yeah, that was that was a challenge. It was so. Oh yeah, it's great. He's got a lot to teach. Yeah,
he does. And the U.S. Medical Center on Capitol Hill in Washington has 6 of these there, 6 of the Omnium One. And they're used for, obviously the Capitol Hill staff in the Congress and, all the people that are there. They have their own medical center. Even the president goes there. So you need to know how vital the rest of the world. This may seem like something new to you if you're listening for the first time, but please know the medical world, scientists know about this. Many prominent people, I can tell you, Keith, Sutherland has one of these systems. Actors and actresses have this. So why don't you? And actually, the Omnium One by Swiss Bionics is the most affordable and portable system. And if you can get $1,000 off right now to get the full, complete system, including the OmniBrain, it's worth it. It's the best investment you'll ever make.
This sale is through October, folks. Okay, that's why we want to get this information out. You have financing plans on this and whatever, and I'm sure, and I know that company is really a wonderful company. And so and they can look at your interview on with her on that too if they need more. Yes. There's information out there, but you really have the best. I mean, I went to you because I look at tools, techniques, and technologies over the years. You are the best. You present it the best. It's the best quality, and I believe in you. Thank you. And you're an expert.
And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Valerie, for your belief. And let's make a healthy, happy 2019 and beyond. And with that, we're going to close with the PEMF consultant commercial. So bye for now. Thanks for listening.
Bye. God bless.
Do you experience frequent headaches, sleep disturbances, skin prickling and burning, rashes, transient muscle and joint pain? Do you sit in front of your computer or under fluorescent lights for long periods of time? You could be experiencing electromagnetic sensitivity. Reduce the ravages with PEMF therapy. Just 8 minutes twice daily will calm your body down to healthy resonance and regeneration. Reduce stress and promote well-being. Find out more today by visiting www.pemfconsultant.com. That's www.pemfconsultant.com today.